can you see them? There's Dorian.
Hi.
And Arya's peeking out from under the couch there. So
I love your couch too.
oh, thank you. Just turning on the porch light. And you know what? I'll even leave those blinds up so you can keep playing with the blinds. Hey, Dorian, here. Dorian, look. There you go. I put that back in the couch for you. Now you can keep playing with that. Oh, I'm already so stressed.
With the kitties?
I don't know how people have children. I genuinely don't. But they're just so fucking cute. And I can't.
They're adorable. What's up, pre-show gang?
Anyways, everyone, hello.
Hi.
I feel like we have a bunch of good stuff that happened like a bunch of good news, which is why I'm like, now I get on here and I'm just sad. For pre-show, I went to the movie theater last night and it was so good. And just, it really like brought me back in touch with movies. Like I felt kind of disconnected from just like film in general, kind of over the past like year or so. I really haven't watched a whole lot unless if we're watching something for the pod. Right. And last night I went and I just like felt reinvigorated about movies and like the whole experience and watching it in theaters. And there was only one preview and like I love the previews and just getting to watch that.
That's lame.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because it was like a special showing, like it wasn't a regularly showed movie. But I saw the Fast 9 preview, which I've already seen a bunch of times, but it was just cool to see it again, like on that giant screen. And it just made me be like, fuck, I really love movies so much.
Yeah. What one did you see?
Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, which is the third one.
Oh, I thought you said you weren't going to go to that one.
No, well, so we weren't originally planning on it, but then we can't go. Next week is Allie's party. And then the following week is Memorial Day weekend and my parents are out of town. And then the following week I'm babysitting Elliot because my parents are at a brewer game and Evan and Christina are gone. So we like really can't go to almost any of the other ones. So we went to that one last night and I still love it. It's just out of all of them, I like go back and forth between that and 2 being my least favorite, which also with our marathon, like if you don't want to sit through 8 movies, I think we can skip 2 and 3 and go like 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because they're like totally good. They're good. But I mean, they don't have like a lot to do with the like main storylines, I guess.
Handmaid's Tale update for anyone who gives a fuck, which is no one, but
no, that episode did good.
Janine possibly deceased. Tragic. We don't know, which normally in TV land, if we don't know, that means they're alive, but they just want us to think that they're dead. However, I'm very unsettled by the fact that she may be kicked to the bucket.
Favorite.
I really love her, and I really am excited about the direction that her character's been going this season, like being free and away from Gilead, and like how her mental state is kind of fluctuating with that, and like her and June's dynamic I find very interesting, and how she challenges June and is kind of like, you can't keep me in the dark and I'm not a dumb person and whatever. And they found this group of people and June wanted to leave that group of people and Janine wanted to stay with them because she started kind of having a thing with a guy in the group. And so June left and Janine stayed and they like said their goodbyes, parted ways. And then like as June was walking, Janine like caught up with her or whatever. She was like, we have to stay together. I feel safer with you. And then a big old motherfucking explosion happened. So it's like, June, I swear to God, if you're responsible for another one of my favorite characters being killed, like, I don't really like June at this point. Like, she really annoys the fuck out of me. So if Janine is dead, I'm going to be pissed. But also at the end of the episode, after the explosion, like, people came in and we're like helping them, and Moira was one of the people. So her and June came face to face together, and that's how the episode ended.
That's
After
exciting.
All this time, they're finally reunited, and I'm so fucking excited. And I think June is finally gonna get the fuck out of Gilead, which I'm like, thank God, get this bitch out of here, because she loves it too much, and I'm so over it. Like, Elizabeth Moss wants to be in a cult just like fucking June. And I'm over it. Like, get her out of there, please and thank you.
I love the TikTok trend of being the like, I work at the bank, you know, like that one. And it's Elizabeth Moss being like playing this character on TV in this horrible cult. Elizabeth Moss in real life in a horrible cult.
Yeah, what the fuck, girly? Should we get into the epity ep?
Let's jump in. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Buckle up.
Because it's gonna be a long ride.
It's gonna be a wild ride.
No one cares, but we're gonna tell you anyways.
This is Popcorn Chats. Welcome back to Popcorn Chats. I'm Katie.
And I'm MICHAE.
I'm sorry that was very, like, hurt. I'm a little sleepy. I'm tired. I'm just, like, fighting for every word right now. I'm trying to get this done.
This should be an interesting episode because I feel like our mood last week kind of fit the vibe of the film, where I feel like both of our moods this week also kind of fit the vibe of the film.
Funny how that works out. Hey, y'all. We're back. Barely. No, I'm just kidding. We are back. And we're talking about a new film. Shocker. Why do I have like a bad attitude right now?
Surprise, motherfuckers.
We are talking about Miss Woman in the Window. Woman in the goddamn window. Finally making it to our screens.
God.
Jesus
it's been
Christ.
A long time.
She premiered on Netflix yesterday, May 14th. We're going to talk about it. Miss Amy Adams, Miss Julianne Moore.
Interesting.
Totally.
I'm excited to talk about the casting choices for this film.
Yeah, same.
I'm interested. It's an interesting bunch.
It is interesting. It's fun. It's exciting. We're back with a new movie and here we are talking about new content, you guys. I just feel very hopeful about everything going on. We have all sorts of new releases coming back. We are vaccinated girlies. All good. Let's do a check-in.
Okay, first, I just wanted to give a shout out to a recent review that we had from Brie +_3. Shout out Brie. Thank you so much. She also rated us 5 stars, which Katie and I, we love to see it. We're still combating that 1-star review that we got from some hater. Very nice review. So I'm assuming she found us through the Shadow and Bone episode because part of it was talking about like books, which I'm excited about because I really loved that episode. I loved doing that episode. I loved that show. I just sent Katie an entire like thirst rant in TikTok the other night.
That was a good TikTok though. Whoever edited that was really good.
It was really good. It was a Kaz Brecker edit, and it was just Freddie Carter. I'm not over it. So yeah, guys, update, check-in. I already talked about it in the pre-show. I got my kittens today, so I'm trying to keep my voice like a little bit quieter because they're both sleeping over in the living room. They're literally the most precious things ever. I finally decided on their names. If you've been listening for the past few weeks, I've been going back and forth on that. So I have my little sweet boy Dorian, after Dorian Havillard from the Throne of Glass series, one of my favorite characters out of that series. And then I have Miss Arya, as in Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. So already I can tell she's gonna be the bossy one. She pushes him around. She steps over him. When I'm like petting him, she'll come over and like headbutt my hand or like push him out of the way. Like she's got some little spunk. Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. Dorian's looking at me now. I'm sorry. I know I'm talking about you guys.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. And I thought there was one other thing. It was I went to go see a movie last night and it was the greatest. I got a popcorn and soda. And the theater was really good. Like I didn't feel, granted I'm fully vaxxed and like it's kicked it, you know, like I'm at my full immunity from it. So I wasn't like too nervous, but still it's just like I haven't really been around a lot of people. But the movie theater still has seats super spaced out. You have to keep your mask on when you're watching the movie unless you're like eating or drinking. And they have like sanitizing wipes to wipe everything down. I felt really safe there. If you're like thinking about going back out to the movie theater, I definitely do it. Support. I mean, for Katie and I in our hometown, like our theater is really nice. Yeah. And I do not want to see that go anywhere.
Same. Also, I don't want movie theaters to die before my movie gets made.
I know, because I want to go and see it like in a theater and have it have like a little poster that we can stand by and like.
Wouldn't that be wild? Oh my god.
That'd be super cool. I swear I had one other thing, but it probably was so not important. So anyways.
Are we talking about Spring Awakening at all?
That was... I'm sorry. That was my other thing.
That's what I figured. That's why I said it.
That was my... Yes, you're right. Sorry. Dorian is like, literally, bitch, shut up.
Aww.
I'm already not vibing with you. He just keeps on giving me the side eye. Anyways, yes, ladies, gents, Spring Awakening is back and we are going, and literally, Katie, as you said, the will to live has been restored.
Yeah.
Like, truly, honestly, I am so wholeheartedly excited about that. I've been listening to like my Plur Classics playlist on Spotify, just thinking back to like the good old days, you know?
Yeah.
Every year that I think back on Spring Awakening are like times that I remember being like probably the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. And the fact that we get to do that again this year, and then it's back at the first year location.
Yeah.
Which like
first year, best
special
year.
place. Yeah. And that we have like the hotel there that we already know and like is close walking distance wise. And
if you guys don't know, Michaela and I go to Spring Awakening every year, obviously except for 2020. The last time we went was in 2019, and we go with our friend Allie and Olivia. You can see all of our recap videos on my YouTube channel and your YouTube channel has some other too.
No.
Oh, is that a different
They both
one?
got copyrighted.
Oh.
Seeing the lineup, like, first of all, Martin Garrix, don't talk to me, bitches. Martin Garrix is my king of all kings.
Yeah.
Everyone, like, if you don't know, he just is. Adventure Club, when I saw Adventure Club, I was in the public library because, again, the library's back open, so I was in there browsing around.
Cute.
And I saw Adventure Club, and I, like, wanted to drop my books and just scream because I have loved them for so many years and they've never even come close to the Midwest. I can't wait to start planning outfits.
Me too, because instead of it's normally like in the summer and it's normally really hot, which is fine. I mean, we always have a great time and always have like fun outfits. This year it's in the fall. It's the first week of October, and if y'all don't know, October is when I personally thrive. My spirit is alive, so I'm very fucking excited.
Anyways, how have you been doing? How's your week?
It's fine. So I'm also fully vaccinated now. So I had my triumphant return to society. If you know my relationship with alcohol, then you probably can guess how it went. If you don't know my relationship with alcohol, maybe just don't worry about it. It was fun. I mean, I had a great time. If you guys think about it, like, I literally haven't been to a bar in over a year. And like the last time I was at a bar, I was a college student at a Big Ten university. My senior year, it was almost the springtime. My second semester, like my last semester of college, I missed it. I didn't know the last time I was in a bar was going to be my last time. And this sounds so dumb and so fucking first world problems, but again, if you know my relationship with alcohol, this would all make a lot of sense to you. My coworkers have been asking me to go out for a long ass time, and I've just been like, wait till May 10th when my vaccine is fully done. We went out and we were out till 3 in the morning, and then I like slept walked outside of my apartment and was running around and knocking on people's doors. Don't know, but I slept walked for like the first time in forever, so that's great. Almost froze to death. Got a drink thrown on me.
I still can't get over that. That's
for
so
literally no reason, and whatever. There's just so much. Like, I did absolutely nothing. I was just, but she did like kind of pull me out of a blackout. Like, I was blacked out. And then she threw that drink on me, and it was very cold. Ooh. And also, I have a bruise on my lip. I have a bruise on my lip from that because one of her fucking ice cubes hit me in the lip. So, thank you, girly, if you're listening. I get very anxious when I'm drunk. So, I was like, damn, did I say something? Like, I'm sorry, girly. Like, did I offend you? And my friend Kyle, again, it was all a blur, but he pulled me out of the bar. We left, and we went to a different bar, understandably, because there was a hater at the bar that I was at, and she followed us to the other bar, and I was like, girl, what's going on? So I like went up to her and I was like, hey, girly, like, everything okay? Like, I just want to make sure, like, I'm fully drenched in this girl's fucking vodka Red Bull. Like, my hair is stuck to my goddamn scalp. Disgusting. And I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry if I like did anything. And she was like, you want to go the fuck outside? And I was like, absolutely not. no, I'm just trying to figure out if you're okay, if I owe you like money or something. Like, why are you so mad? And the bouncer comes up to me and is like, are we gonna have a problem, ma'am? And I was like, literally no. Like, I am just trying to make sure that everyone's okay and that I didn't do anything wrong. But yeah, I'm back, fully vaxxed, and who knows what trouble I will continue to get into.
Oh my God.
Okay, let's get into this.
Okay, Woman in the Window. I feel like just to start it off, so in case if you don't know, this is based on the 2018 thriller written by A.J. Finn, aka Daniel Mallory. He writes under the name A.J. Finn, which I think is because it is a name that could pass as a woman's name because like I'm pretty sure that was the reasoning because of it that I had read
That's
a
cool.
few because like women like picking up books by women, which is fair because I am like, why the fuck? I've read one romance novel written by a man, and I'm like, never again. Like, I don't want to read men writing about women.
Totally.
In romance.
Totally.
So I'm pretty sure because this is like more geared towards a female audience. I'm pretty sure that's why I changed his name, but don't quote me on that. And then so I did read this back in 2018 when it came out, and I liked it. It's not my favorite thriller that I ever read. I've definitely read better. However, I was really interested to see this to come out on film because the whole book literally takes place in Anna's house. And I was like, are they going to do that for the movie too? Like take place all in this house? They did. I'm interested to talk about that. But just to kick it off though, I feel like we should just note quickly that there is some controversy surrounding the author. He's a little sketchy. There you can definitely do your own research, look it up. There's a ton of articles about him and different things that he's done. But basically, a year after this book was out and kind of after the success that it had, and then it had like the movie deal, people started coming out of the woodwork and being like, this dude has literally lied like about his entire life, his career. He's claimed of having degrees where he doesn't have degrees, have gone to school for things that he hasn't gone to school for, said that he had like cancer. And I think he said that he even had like a tumor at one point and that his mom died of cancer and that his brother died of suicide and that he basically just would lie to people like about not like little things, you know, where sometimes you like here and there just like white lie, but like really big things. And that then when it came out that then he blamed it on having bipolar 2 disorder, but then psychiatrists are like, that wouldn't cause you to say all of these things. I don't know. So anyways, we're not here to talk about whether he's like a good or bad person, but I just feel like it should be out there that the author's a little sketch. So,
Yeah.
And I don't really think that he was involved in this movie.
It is what it is. Also, another disclaimer, sorry. We love you, Brie. We love the review that you left, but you did point out something that we have addressed on the pod, and we did address in the Shadow and Bone episode. I just don't read as much as Michaela, and I don't read the types of stuff. Wow, excuse me. I don't read the types of stuff that Michaela does. And so I didn't read Shadow and Bone. I have not read Woman in the Window. Sue me.
With that said, like you guys know on here that reading is like what I do in my free time outside of this podcast. Right. So, and exactly, Katie does not read fantasy. You don't read romance. Like those are not your types of books. So I have that lens to talk through, but it's actually kind of nice that we have those two like different lenses. Yeah. So I kind of like that there are things that I've read that then you don't, because then with Shadow and Bone, I was like, were you picking up on this? Like, was that clear to someone who didn't read the books and could fill in the gaps? Like, I liked that a lot.
I will just start off by saying that I had abnormally great expectations for this film. When I saw it in theaters back in pre-COVID times, like the preview for it, I was like, yeah, that looks good. I'll go see that. But I wasn't like, holy shit, I need to see that movie. You know, I was just like, yeah, looks good. I like Amy Adams and looks intriguing. I love a psychological thriller. Totally down. I was kind of like, what happened to that? I don't know. Didn't really care though, like kind of forgot about it. And now I'm just like going into it, I was like, this shit better be God's gift to cinema for how long they pushed it off. Like, it was already pushed off before COVID. And then they pushed it off again because of COVID. So, like,
I'm pretty sure they did reshoots on it.
yeah.
Like, they had finished it and then had to reshoot a bunch of it. So, if
That's
that
very
tells
interesting.
you something, I'm pretty sure about that because I remember reading when I was looking for it. I was like, why isn't this out yet? And this was pre-COVID, and I had read that, like, they were reshooting it. So, yeah, I'm not necessarily surprised. I don't know. I would say I had a little higher expectations than normally going into just like a random movie because of like the buildup of the time that we've had for it and having the basis of being based off of a book. I feel like then I kind of always have higher expectations of it. I don't know. I feel like this was an average film, to be honest. And
Really?
I don't think that I will ever rewatch it. Like, I think it's good for the one watch, but I don't see myself ever like sitting down and being like, I'm gonna watch that again. Like Gone Girl, I could watch that movie every other month and never get sick of it. Like, I love that movie and I think it's so well done. Did you feel differently? What did you think?
I think I would watch it again with somebody who's never seen it before, because Jack really doesn't like scary movies, so the most I can get him to do is like psychological thrillers. I would watch it again with him. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a very you and me type movie, but I guess you had already read the book, so for me, I was very, like, in the dark the whole time and didn't really know what was going on, and like piecing it all together was very fun for me. So I can see where for you it was just kind of like because there were some moments where I was like, this is just very dead space to me. Like, I don't really know what's going on. Who was the guy calling her slugger? Was that her ex-husband?
Wait, what?
That guy that she was like talking to but not actually talking to.
Like at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her ex-husband. Spoiler alert, guys. Spoilers, we're going to spoil this whole movie. So,
yeah,
that's on you. If you clicked on this episode, that's on you. Did you do standout star and standout scene?
I didn't do standout star. There were a couple scenes that I liked. Her and Ethan's first conversation, the dialogue being exchanged between Anna and Ethan, and like the camera movement closing in on both of them. It just really, for somebody like me who did not know the plot twist, it made me like Ethan a lot and sympathize with him, while also being like, what's up with this kid? I was concerned about him, but for the wrong reasons, which I thought that scene really did a lot in that department, and the payoff at the end of the film was really largely in part due to the camera movement, which good for the cinematographer, man. Yeah. And then I also really liked the scene when she's trying to talk her way into like being reliable to all the people that are looking at her towards the end, and the camera's just getting like closer and closer to her. And then she like sees the car in her living room turned over, and we finally get to understand what like the white stuff like in a black nightmare that she keeps having. I just really thought that tied into the theme of this character and the film as a whole, and what makes the film so fun to watch as somebody, again, who has no idea what's going on. She is unreliable to the last possible second. Even once we know the twist, she is still unreliable. Like we're just as in the dark as the people that she's trying to convince that she's sane. And so
yeah,
I thought Amy Adams' performance in that scene was really well done. And again, the camera movement and like the lighting is great. Just it closing in on her, and like I felt her stress, and I also felt the confusion and the like I empathized with both parties. I was like, yeah, she sounds fucking insane. Who would believe this woman? But then I was also like, yeah, I'll just believe her.
Like, she's on to something here.
Yeah.
I will say visually, I think this movie was so good to watch in that sense. I thought the camera shots were great. I loved every single night when she was like falling asleep, how you would almost get like that TV, that like weird effect, and then the snow, and then like she's asleep, and then it's the next morning. I thought visually the movie was really, really well done. Every other book to movie adaptation that we've watched, I feel like my knowledge of the book has aided my viewing experience.
Okay.
This, I feel like, really retracted from it because, like, I already knew these things. So it's like, I didn't have that connection to Ethan right off the bat because I was like, I know you sus right from the beginning. Like, I knew to distrust him. So I never felt any, like, warm fuzzies towards Ethan or any sort of, like, empathy towards him because I was just like, I know what happens with him. When she's, like, trying to convince them them. It's just like, well, if you weren't so unreliable, like because you're constantly like drunk or on pills, and like it was frustrating in the book to read when she's constantly like getting high, and you're just like, can you please just get it together for like a moment, because she's such an unreliable narrator. And I kind of felt that frustration again in the movie too. However, I was much more empathetic towards her in the movie, and I think that partially has to do with Amy Adams' performance. I think like knowing the plot twists and stuff just didn't make it as enjoyable as it would be going in blind, because like you said, you picked up on things that I really had no chance of feeling.
Like what you said before about it all taking place in the house, and it really doesn't feel like that, obviously, because she's like looking across the street into these other scenes. We have flashbacks and like stuff happening in her head and all these allusions to like other cinema and stuff. So it doesn't really feel like it, but I also think that her maintained unreliability throughout the entire thing, and how like they're establishing her right off the bat as somebody with issues that make it hard to trust her, that makes it exciting and like not feel so stagnant the entire time, because we're constantly questioning and like trying to get our bearings and like peer around corners. And I felt like I didn't have the layout of the house completely down the entire film until the end, and they like showed us how the staircase worked and everything, and I wondered if that was intentional, and I kind of felt like it was, because they wanted us to feel like disoriented the whole time.
That's a really good point. That's so true, because you never then feel stuck, because you and I have talked about this. We've talked about this in Euphoria, and how those special episodes, you know, being filmed in the one location, and Malcolm and Marie, and I've talked about the movie The Mountain Between Us, where I was like, get out of the goddamn plane, and like that feeling of being stuck, and I was nervous for that. But I didn't feel that in this movie, and I was like, why not? And I'm like, maybe it is because we're seeing the neighbor shots and this and that. But I think you're so right that you don't really get the layout of the house whatsoever, so you don't feel like you're constantly in the same room or like knowing where you're at. So it feels disorienting, like you said.
It also helps maintain our misunderstanding, or I guess like we don't know the full story with her family and her like separation with her husband. That's actually just they're separated because he is deceased.
R to the I to the P.
Like we never see the daughter's room, and I just felt like at the end there was clarity for her. Just the house was very interesting. I just keep going back to that shot of the car in the house, like tipped over like that. I was like, damn, she can't hide from this shit. Like she is agoraphobic. She can't go outside, but like the thing she is avoiding is now literally inside the house. She can't avoid it anymore. I was like,
it is well done.
It's a well done film. Like I'll just say, I'm only viewing this from a film lens. And from my perspective, I thought this was very well done. I was a little shaky about Amy Adams at the beginning. I was like, whoa, she's off her game. I don't know how I feel about this. But she got better as she went along. And I think her playing off of other people was really well. It was the moments that she was alone. I was like, but who am I to judge Amy Adams? Like, what?
I love Amy Adams, so I was excited that she was in this role. Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite role that I've ever seen of her, but there were moments where I was like, damn, like this is why I think she genuinely is one of the greatest actresses like of her generation. Like I genuinely wholeheartedly believe so. I think it was when she was trying to convince everyone at first. She had like a moment, maybe it was after she saw the picture, and I saw like the little bit of Giselle from Enchanted in her, and like that bit of excitement, and it's just like I felt like her range in this was good. I really enjoyed Amy Adams in this film. Julianne Moore was an interesting choice, so I want to pick your brain about that, because when she popped up, I was like, what? I don't know. I just thought that she was interesting in her character. I think she made her more, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. She's just so different than how I remembered her from the book. So I was like, what the hell is like she doing here? And I think the role that I most know Julianne Moore for is President Coin in The Hunger Games, which is like this very stoic, serious dictator kind of lady. So then seeing her in this when she's like, oh, that's my name, whatever, blah, 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 jumping around, I was kind of like, what's going on here?
Right. For me, again, I feel like this is another thing where we're coming from different perspectives. I wasn't really thrown off by it, and I was like excited because I think Julianne Moore is always interesting in like any role that she plays. She's very dynamic. Like she'll be in comedies. Like I'm looking at her IMDb right now. Crazy Stupid Love. Her in that is funny. I remember her in that one movie, The Kids Are All Right or whatever, where she's like lesbian but then cheating on her wife or something. I don't know. I liked her. I thought it was fun to see her. And I did not even pick up on the fact when she was like, "What makes you say that? Jane, you're Jane Russell." And she's like, "What makes you say that?" That should have been an immediate red flag for me, but it wasn't.
I think because you're so almost distracted by her whole essence there
Yes.
that it throws you off. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, good. You know, Anna's going to have a friend. Like, she really needs a friend. She needs a will to live. Like,
yeah. You saying that made me think of then her videotape at the end that she's making. Bravo, Amy Adams. You had me really like sitting there just so enthralled by her in that moment and feeling everything right alongside with her. That was great.
And how she kept like redoing it. And I felt like that when I was watching that, I was like, girl, like, why do you care? I guess she wanted to make sure that she said everything the right way, but then that was interesting to then hear Ethan being like, you want to die anyway, so just give up, you know. It's not the same thing, but like, why do you care about certain things if you want to die so badly? And it's like, clearly maybe you don't want to die, you know?
Yeah, I think it's her last cry for help.
It was cute that she didn't want her tenant to be like blamed for her death or anything. And I also really liked the detective guy like letting her delete the video.
It's like, that's the least you can do, sir.
He was such an ally.
I also thought the tenant was an interesting choice because that's Kate Hudson's brother. He just, I don't know, his character didn't jive for me because again it was different than how I pictured him in the book, and I felt like they made him out to be creepier than he was than what I went into this thinking he was going to be. Like it was more he was just like an aloof tenant down below that she doesn't really know that much about, but he kind of helps out and he kind of keeps to himself, and he's like this kind of just secluded guy, where in this he's like popping up and being like boo to her, and I'm like, what is your deal? You're like, he's digging around in her kitchen. I don't know, he just, his character and just something about that, he never connected with me at all.
He was weird too because he seemed like super chill at the beginning, like taking out her trash and stuff, and then like turned for no reason. And I was like, I think his character is one of the weakest parts of this because they were definitely, I think, trying to make him a red herring or something. If not for him, then our only other suspect is Daddy Russell, Alistair Russell. I didn't remember his first name, so like the dad. And like you kind of need more suspects, I guess. So I just was very like thrown off by his character as well. And it was like almost too obvious. I was like, okay, obviously it's not him. Like,
I know,
because that wouldn't even be good anyways. Like, okay, it was the neighbor all along, the weird neighbor. Like,
yeah, that would double homicide.
Homicide.
That would be a lame plot twist. I do like the plot twist in this because in the book their relationship is developed a lot more, which obviously you're going to get in a book versus in a movie. But there's another layer to their relationship. In the book, Anna is talking online to one of her clients, or who she thinks is one of her clients, and it turns out that it's Ethan posing as like this really old lady, and this old lady is struggling. I think she's struggling with agoraphobia too, or something like that. And Anna is in these chat rooms like helping out these people. So she starts working with this old lady, and the old lady is asking her all sorts of questions of being like, my kids say I need to set up an email, but how do I do that? And then so Anna's like talking her through, and then she's like, it says I need a password, you know, like how am I going to remember something? So then Anna's like, well, a lot of people do this. And that's how like Ethan gets into her emails and stuff. So it's very like subtle all along the way, where in this I felt like a little like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I don't really feel like there were any signs in this, but I want to know from your perspective, your kind of journey with Ethan's character. And like, did you see it coming, or did it come out of left field?
I did not really see it coming, but I wasn't super like mind blown. Like I wasn't like, that's so cool, you know? There are certain films where I'm like, yes, mind blown. I just love those types of movies. We should talk about Time Lapse on here sometime. Remember that crazy ass movie with Danielle Panabaker?
The Panabaker. Dude.
Y'all, if you guys haven't seen Time Lapse and you want your mind to be fucking annihilated, watch it.
I'm gonna jot that down for us right now so that way we don't forget it.
I'm so sorry. I'm getting off track. What was the
Shocker.
question?
Ethan.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it was neat that like he is in a bad spot mentally, like he is in crisis of a different kind, I guess. Like, I don't know. Does the fact that he's a killer take away the fact that his dad is an abusive, horrible man? No. So I was kind of like, don't really feel any differently about anybody in this situation, I guess. Like, I still hate the dad. I'm not like, oh, I was wrong about the dad. Like, the dad is a piece of shit, and no wonder why his son is a murderer. Like, obviously, you know, like, I wasn't like, oh, shocked.
That didn't come out of left field. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
It's kind of like with Nate Jacobs. We're kind of like,
It sucks for Anna because she was like trying to help him and save an innocent child to kind of like make up for the fact that she had played a role in the death of her daughter.
Yeah.
And then for that to happen, like so much trauma. She killed him too. Double homicide.
Yeah. Actually, triple homicide.
Triple
the husband
homicide.
too.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, the twist like was not the strongest part of the film for me. Which like
What
it's
was the strongest part then?
I think again like the cinematography was really well done and like the unreliability being maintained throughout all of it. And then something that I personally just really appreciated was all the allusions to older films, specifically like Hitchcock. Have you ever seen Vertigo?
No.
Okay, so that is like the first shot of this film. It's like going past her TV and it's a shot of that film, basically. You know how she's watching all these old movies. So Vertigo is about a guy with vertigo and he's like a detective and scared of he like can't go up in high places because he'll get all dizzy or whatever. The psychological thriller vibe of this was very similar to that of those Hitchcock films like Psycho. It was very much paying homage to that, I think, but not super heavy-handed. And I think it was trying to, this is just my interpretation, could be completely wrong, but I feel like this was making a statement about how women are so often like not trusted or taken seriously. And especially when you look back on like old films, it's always like, oh, silly woman, you know? Like I thought that this was kind of like bringing justice to all of the women of like these films that are never taken seriously until it's too late. You know, how mental health and like certain illnesses are portrayed and like been depicted in society. And also like the femme fatale thing, like the woman leading the man astray and like leading him to do bad things, like how that was a very common trope in early film noir. And I felt like that was kind of a thing. And just women are so often villainized and their intelligence and integrity is always brought into question, especially in a lot of early films. Like just having to watch some of those in college, it was excruciating because it was like, she's like literally a 30-year-old woman. Why are you talking to her like she is 10?
Dorian is now laying on his side and Arya is like completely propped up on his belly and like both their heads are nuzzling each other. I fucking can't, sorry. I will say that in this, I wasn't like nervous, but I was just like, I really hope that they don't make her seem unreliable because of her agoraphobia. Because I'm like, let's not go down that road there. And I do feel like it never once felt like the police or the neighbors were like, this lady can't even go outside. Like, she can't be trusted. Like, they never really played off of that. It was more like, what pills are you taking? Like, what medications are you taking? And how much are you drinking? And it was more centered around that on making her seem untrustworthy than her illness itself, which was just like a small thing to some people. But I think watching this, I was just happy to see.
And there is really like one thing after the other. It's not just the fact that she is kind of like struggling mentally and also indulging in substance use. But then we find out that her family is dead, and she's been telling everybody that they're just separated. So like, then we're like, oh, girlfriend, at that point, it's like the climax of the film, and we are with her. We're like, we see the signs, we think you're right, girly, but then it's like, you've been lying to us. Like, your family's dead, and you've been telling us that they're not. So then I'm like, do I trust her? What's wrong? And then even at the end, she like blocked him stabbing her, and then he was gone. I was like, she made it all up in her head. Like, I was like, she was unreliable till the last possible second. I think that was another very, very well done part of the film.
That fight scene up on the rooftop there, when that happened, I was like questioning that a bit. I was like, was that a mirage?
Yeah, I was like, is
what's
she
going on
hallucinating
here?
all of it? And she questions it herself too. You can see it in her face, like, where is he? Because he was right there, and then he hid.
Oh, and that rake. Oh my god, when that went into her face.
Ooh. I didn't like
that.
That
was like the Shadow and Bone collar. Like,
yeah. I didn't like even her wounds, like the bandage situation in the hospital. I was like, can we move on? Wrap it up. But she was serving at the end. Gross. She looked great when she was walking through the house. And even when, like, early in the film, when she was a little crusty, dusty, her sweeping robe through the house, like, that is my dream, to just be, like, in this old creepy house, like, like, running around with my robe, like, all in distress.
And even too, Amy Adams, it's just like, there's not really anything you can do to make her ugly. So even when she was crusty, I was still like, she's still serving.
But I just think that the director of this film wanted to put, because obviously I didn't read the book, and I don't know if there were allusions to Vertigo in the book, but I thought that the director of this film really was trying to pay homage to Vertigo, or kind of like make a statement about Vertigo, because at the end of Vertigo, Jimmy Stewart, the main character, that's the actor who plays him, I don't know the guy's name, has to like face his fears and go up to the roof. And that's what happens to Amy. Like, she has to go outside. I just think it's clearly paying homage. There are certain shots, like when she's looking in the rear view towards her daughter, there's a shot like that in Vertigo. The, like, peach or the apple part where it's like a black background and she's trying to learn French. That was a very, like, Vertigo type shot. Yeah, and like the dream, like how she's struggling with this reoccurring dream. That's something that the main character in Vertigo deals with. So I was like, girl, this is definitely talking about Vertigo. And the fact that it was like literally the first shot of the film, I was like, hey, Vertigo. Yeah. And then stuff started happening. I was like, is he talking about Vertigo? Yeah, I was like, oh, he's talking about Vertigo. Okay. Agoraphobia, Vertigo, not necessarily the same thing, but like hindrances, I guess.
I don't remember that being a theme in the book, but also I don't know if I would have picked up on it or like really paid attention to it not knowing the film.
I think it would have been hard to write that in. It felt like a very much director's choice. So I've been wanting to read film reviews of this. I just haven't had time. To see if anybody else is talking about that.
I haven't read any, and I saw some articles on Twitter that I just scrolled right on past, because a lot of the times I don't like to read things before we do these episodes, because I don't want anything to hinder my opinion. There are episodes like Antebellum or episodes like that where I feel like it's really like imperative that we look at reviews for like own voices, but with this I didn't really feel like the need to do that, and I didn't want to. But I'm interested to see now that we're talking about it, and like once we're done with this episode, I want to go back and read some of them and just see if it's been received well.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot. I was telling Jack, I was like, damn, if anything's making me wish that I was still in school right now, it's this, because I feel like I could write a bomb-ass report about how it ties in with Vertigo and how the director of this is definitely paying homage to that film, I think. And also just the timing of this film being released now with, if it would have been released before COVID, we couldn't necessarily relate to this character as much as we all can now after spending a very long period of time of our lives inside now because of a fear of what's outside, and isolation and loss is something that we all kind of have a better understanding of now, I would say. Most people, some people on different levels than others, but it's very interesting the timing of it being released. Like, I would definitely view it differently pre-COVID. I think maybe I would have felt more stuck in the house. I guess I can't say for sure because until you said that, like, oh, it was all in the house, honestly, I didn't even realize that. So
interesting. I remember reading this book and I was like, how does she even function never leaving her house? Like, how do you do anything? And of course, in the book, it goes into detail of how she gets her groceries, how obviously her trash gets out, that kind of stuff, like those mundane details. But now, after living a year inside, I get it. And also I think, Katie, like, I've kind of joked to you before that I'm like worried of becoming agoraphobic in my adulthood, and like that's genuinely is something that I do think about, because even just leaving the house sometimes to like run and pick up dinner like makes me anxious. And for what? Like, I'm running to go pick up takeout, but it makes me anxious. So watching it now, and especially after the past year, I'm just like, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
We kind of covered all of my like notes and questions. My only thing is that I have concerns as someone who has a very basic understanding of insurance. The fact that her roof flooding looks like that is concerning to me. That has bound to cause some damage. There's no way that water is getting filtering off. It's literally a swimming pool up there. Amy Adams, you need to get on that, because
she was like drowning on her roof. I was like, how did she not drown in the house with that roof caving in? Like,
did you think some of the fight like did they look a little weird to you?
Like, I was like, let's get through this fast, because Amy Adams is not an actress that I want to see have like a fight sequence.
I did, that whole sequence felt weird to me and like looked kind of weird.
I was like, let's just hurry it up. I was thinking of it more as like a struggle, less so of a fight, because if I was thinking of it as like a I punch you, you punch me type of thing, I was not going to be into it. So I was kind of just being like, oh, she's trying to get away. And I was focused more on like, does she even want to live? You know, that whole thing. It's interesting watching somebody who we just saw like about to kill themselves now fighting for their life.
I did like that Ethan, because I think in Ethan's mind, he's like, come on. He almost, I think, thinks of it as being like, I'm helping you out. And then I also, like, there's an incentive for me in there too, for like helping you out and taking this off of your hands. His mind in that moment is interesting to me. And then her too, of deciding of being like, yeah, just because I said I wanted to die doesn't mean that I am asking you to kill me.
Yeah, and he like wants to wash Ethan, honey, boo-boo.
You had some issues.
Yeah.
But I mean, we know who your dad is, so like, not
totally. Overall, loved the movie, and if you haven't read the book, I would recommend watching the movie because it's a good time. But maybe if you've read the book, don't watch it.
No, I definitely think you could. I'd just say, if you know how a lot of people are like, oh, the movie's coming out, I need to read the book first.
Yeah, not
don't
necessarily.
Read the book.
Yeah,
I'd say maybe watch the movie first, and then you might decide like, oh, I don't even need to read the book. Where I think like with Gone Girl, I watched the movie and read the book after, and I still felt like reading the book was very enjoyable, even knowing the twist. I liked it. I liked this movie. Like you said, I'd maybe watch it with someone who hasn't seen it. For you.
Premiering on HBO Max, so you can stream that on Thursday of this week, and we will talk about it on Monday. Excited. Yes, that's going to be a fun episode. And then we have a guest coming on at the end of the month.
And then June, looking ahead, I think the only thing we for sure have will be the new Fast and Furious movie. Katie's gonna get caught up on the franchise. Katie's gonna hate it. Guys, those are gonna be some fun episodes because I guarantee Katie is not gonna like it.
Cute.
This should be a fun time.
Get vaccinated and meet me at the bars.
Dude, if you're not vaccinated by now, what are you doing? If you are listening on Spotify, make sure you follow and download our episodes every single Monday. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure that you subscribe and also are downloading our episodes and give us a 5-star rating and review. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Any other podcast forums that you listen on, make sure you do all that same jazz. Make sure you're following us on TikTok at Popcorn Chats Pod. episode.
See you next Monday.
Lilas.
Lilas.